Welcome to the Deep Dive. This is where we take sources you send us, things you're curious about, and really dig in to find the fascinating bits. And this time, you sent us Wynn Westcott's Numbers, Their Occult Power and Mystic Virtues.
Yes.
Now, I have to say, occult power of numbers. It sounds a little, well, out there at first, but diving into this book, it's been surprisingly eye-opening.
It really is, isn't it? You think, oh, numbers, math, but it quickly opens up into this rich tapestry, history, philosophy, even spirituality.
Right. So our mission today isn't just about arithmetic.
Not at all. We want to explore the deeper significance that different cultures have attached to numbers, looking beyond just counting.
Okay, so Westcott starts us off with the ancient Greeks, the Pythagoreans, and they weren't just messing around with right angles, apparently.
No, not at all. For them, numbers were like the fundamental essence of the whole universe.
The essence. How so?
They believed numbers were behind all cosmic harmony, all relationships. Westcott points out their idea that in a natural series of numbers...
Yeah, like 1, 2, 3, 4.
Exactly. Any number is basically the average of the two numbers next to it. So like 5 is right there between 4 and 6.
Huh. Interesting. Like a balance.
Precisely. It suggests this, fundamental balance and interconnectedness in how they saw numbers.
And they had these really specific ways of classifying even numbers too, right?
For-
Evenly odd.
Yes. Evenly even, like 6 4, you can keep having it until you get down to 1.
Okay.
But evenly odd, like 6 or 10 or 14, their halves are odd numbers.
It's like they were trying to decode the very DNA of these numbers.
You could say that, and it went further. They classified even numbers as perfect, deficient, or superabundant.
Okay, break those down. Perfect.
A perfect number, like 6 or 28, is one where all its divisors, the numbers that divide into it evenly, excluding itself, add up to the number itself. So for 6, it's 1 plus 2 plus 3.
Got it. And deficient.
That's where the divisors add up to less than the number. Like 8, its divisors are 1, 2, 4. They add up to 7.
Okay. Superabundant must be the opposite then.
Exactly. The sum of the divisors is greater than the number. Think of 12. 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 6 equals 16.
And Westcott says they even saw these as, like, moral categories.
Sort of. Perfect numbers represented a kind of virtuous balance. The others were seen as excessive or lacking. It's a fascinating link between math and ethics.
Wow. And then odd numbers. He calls them numens in geometry. What's that about? Remind me.
Right, the nomen. Think of a simple square on a grid. The nomen is that L-shaped bit you add around it to make the next bigger square.
Oh, okay, I remember now.
And the interesting thing is if you start with a point, or 0, and keep adding the next odd number 1, then 3, then 5, then 7, the total you get is always a perfect square.
0 plus 1 is 1, 1 plus 3 is 4, plus 5 is 9.
Exactly. 1, 4, 9, 16, all perfect squares.
Yeah.
So this visual geometric property probably gave odd numbers a special kind of status for them.
Cool. Okay, so from ancient Greece, we jump to the Qabalah. And this seems to take the whole mystical side of numbers way further.
Oh, absolutely. Westcott points to the Sefer Yetzirah, the Book of Formation, as being foundational here.
And what's the core idea in that text?
Well, it presents the system where numbers aren't just symbols, they're like active agents in the process of creation itself.
Wow.
And what's really striking is how they directly link numbers to the letters of the Hebrew alphabet.
Right. And also planets, zodiac signs, all for divination.
Yes, for understanding the cosmos, for divination. It's a complete system.
Which brings us to Gematria. That's the thing where you assign numerical values to letters, right?
Exactly. You take a Hebrew word, assign the standard numerical value to each letter, add them up.
And then you look for other words that have the same total value.
Precisely. Westcott gives examples like Ab, meaning father, which is Aleph, 1, plus Beth, 2, so it equals 3.
Okay.
And Jehu, a name, also adds up to 3. Or larger numbers like Al Shaddai, God Almighty, is 345, which reduces to 12, which reduces to 3.
So finding these shared numbers suggests a hidden connection.
That's the idea. It's a method for uncovering deeper layers of meaning in sacred texts, finding connections, almost like a numerical fingerprint linking different concepts like Hoa, Gedula. Westcott lists several that boil down to 3.
It's like a secret code hidden in plain sight.
Kind of. And they didn't just calculate values, they had methods of substitution too, changing letters based on certain rules to reveal different meanings.
How did that work?
Well, sometimes substituting letters with similar sounds or using different Kabbalistic alphabets, it allowed them to explore related or even opposing concepts hidden within a word's numerical structure. Very dynamic.
Okay, then Westcott talks about magic squares, these grids associated with planets. like the Mars one.
Yes, the planetary kamias, or magic squares. The Mars square is a 5x5 grid.
And every row, column, and even the diagonals add up to the same number.
That's right. For Mars, it's 65, and the total sum of all numbers in the square is 325.
What was the point of these? Just a mathematical puzzle.
Oh no, much more than that. They were believed to capture the essential numerical vibration of the planet.
Like a talisman.
Exactly. Used in rituals, engraved on talismans, meant to channel the planet's specific energies or connect with its associated intelligences. The numbers themselves, 65, 325, were significant.
And sticking with the celestial, he mentions Chaldean deities having specific numbers. 60 for Anu, 50 for Bel.
Yes, this is a very ancient practice, assigning numerical values to gods. It likely wasn't random. The numbers probably held symbolic meaning tied to the deity's myths or powers. Anu as 60, the highest, reflecting his status.
Another layer of numerical coding for the universe.
Pretty much.
And then there's the big one, 6666, the number of the beast.
Right. Westcott notes its connection to Sorath, often seen as a solar demon in some interpretations, and its calculation from certain names in Greek or Hebrew Gematria. It's generated endless speculation.
He mentions the Saturn square, too, that weird palindrome square.
Yeah, Seiderarepo tenet opera rotus. Reads the same forwards, backwards, up, down. The central tenet forms a cross. It's been seen as a Christian charm, a puzzle, a ward against evil. Its connection to 666 is a bit complex, depending on the numerological system used.
Okay, fascinating stuff. Let's dive into the individual numbers, maybe starting with 1 through 7.
Sounds good.
So, 1, the monad. That's pretty straightforward, right? Unity, God.
Exactly. It's the source, the origin point from which all multiplicity arises. Westcott uses the Hebrew Akkad, one often used for God. It's indivisible, the foundation.
Then 2, the dyad. First even number, the universal mother.
Yes, 2 represents duality, otherness, receptivity, often linked to the feminine principle.
And Westcott mentions this idea. Odd numbers for the big gods, even for the lesser ones. Why?
That reflects a sort of hierarchical view in some ancient systems. Odd numbers being indivisible by 2 were sometimes seen as more stable or perfect, maybe more aligned with the higher powers. Even numbers, divisible, perhaps represented the more mutable lower realms.
Okay, now 3. The triad. This one seems huge. Perfection, the triangle mythology. It's everywhere.
Oh, 3 is absolutely loaded with symbolism. Westcott really piles on the examples. Geometrically, it's the first stable shape, the triangle.
Right.
Astronomically, you have divisions of the zodiac. Musically, key harmonies. Mythologically, wow, triple forms of gods. Jupiter, Hecate with her 3 faces, Neptune or Siva with the trident, Cerberus.
Even Roman founders, Jewish traditions like the Sword of Death, Freemasonry.
Yes, the triple Tau in Judaism, the 3 principal officers or degrees in Masonry, the 3-colored cord in Roman rites, the Druidic triads in their poetry.
And obviously, the Christian Trinity.
The Christian Trinity is a prime example, but also Platonic triads like Theos, Logos, Psyche. It's this global persistence of thinking in 3s.
It's almost overwhelming. He lists things like dropsy, coma, death, Scorpio's emblems, astrological timing, marriage bands, bishop's blessing, the Angelus bell, court ushers, the shamrock, the trigrams of Fo Hai in China.
It really speaks to a fundamental pattern in human thought, doesn't it? Beginnings, middles, ends. Thesis, antithesis, synthesis. Mind, body, spirit. It seems we naturally organize things in 3s.
And what about that 3.5 years thing he mentions?
Yes, 3.5. Often seen as half of the perfect 7. It frequently appears in prophecies, like in Daniel or Revelation, symbolizing a period of trial, transition, intense testing, often before some kind of resolution or divine intervention.
Okay. Moving to 4. The tetrad, called the greatest miracle, fountain of nature.
4 represents stability, solidity, the material world. Think 4 walls, 4 corners of the earth.
The Pythagorean tetractys comes up again here.
Right. The sum of 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 equals 10, their perfect number. But 4 itself is key. 4 elements, fire, air, water, earth. 4 seasons, 4 ages of man.
Westcott lists more. 4 goods of the soul body, Aristotle's 4 causes, 4 times blessed are the dead. It seems grounded.
Very grounded. It represents structure, order. You see it in Masonic virtues, the 4 evangelists with their gospels and symbolic forms. Lion, ox, man, eagle linked to fixed zodiac signs.
And in Qabalah.
The 4 worlds of emanation, Atziluth, Braya, Yetzirah, Asaya, different levels of reality from divine to material. Also, 4 evil tendencies, even Vulcan's arrows in mythology.
The Talmud gets a look into. 4 opinions on wine, 4 stages of near death, 4 types of passionate men.
Yes, Westcott pulls from many sources. 4 types of occult pupils, 4 deterrents from sin, 4 kinds of thank offerings, 4 things God supposedly repented making, 4 perfect women named in the Quran, though Westcott omits Eve. Even the idea the North Pole is unfinished relates to 4.
And Jacob's name, IOQB.
Linked numerically to 4 in some systems. Then there's Christ on the 4-limbed cross, the esophageal triad, plus the quaternary, the lower self. 4 Kaberi deities.
And Egyptian connections.
The 4 canopic jars holding organs, each guarded by a specific god and goddess. Amset Hapi Tuamitef. Kebsenef, protected by Isis, Nephthys, Neith, Serket. 4 great church councils, East and West doctors of the church, the 4 crowned martyrs. 4 is foundational.
Okay, number 5, the pentad. Described as spherical, circular. How so?
Mathematically, any number ending in 5 when multiplied by itself results in a number ending in 5. It sort of restores itself cyclically.
Interesting. And privation of strife, justice, Venus, marriage. That's a mix.
Well, 5 is the sum of the first even 2 and the first odd 3, excluding 1. So it represents the union of opposites, hence harmony, privation of strife, marriage, Gematria. Venus is associated with it, sometimes seen as hermaphrodite or androgynous because of this union. Justice, maybe because it's the midpoint of the numbers 1 to 9.
Nemesis, too. And Pallas, ether. Cardiatis, heart metal.
Yes, Nemesis represents balance or fate. Pallas perhaps representing the 5th element, ether. Cardiatis because it's the heart or middle of the first 9 numbers. Plutarch linked it to sound. It's seen as the type of nature itself.
And the pentagram, the pentalpha, seal of Solomon.
Huge symbol. Represents health, wholeness, protection against evil. Its continuous line embodies security. Diodorus mentioned 5 elements. We have 5 orders of architecture, 5 senses, though sometimes considered part of 7.
Geometry is the 5th science. Masonry has the 5 points of fellowship.
Right. 5 brethren in a fellowcraft's lodge. The pyramid arrangement of monads uses 5. The 5 regular Euclidean solids, emblem of safety. 5 wise and foolish versions in the parable. 5 articles of Mahometan belief. 5 duties of a Christian.
St. Paul wanting to speak 5 understandable words. 5 main astrological aspects.
Roman marriage customs with 5 candles or deities. The Jewish tabernacle measurements often involved 5s. The Hebrew letter He, value 5, represents female potency. 5 main parts of Solomon's temple. David's 5 blessings and psalms.
Talmudic 5s, too. Little terrors versus strong things.
Yes. Fire hell, honey manna, Sabbath or after, sleep death, dream prophecy, one having a 60th part of the other. 5 things you could kill on the Sabbath. Jesus' 5 foretold passions, 5 key particulars, 5 wounds.
And beyond. Brahmins' 5 skandhas. Chinese 5 blessings, elements, colors.
Yes. And the alchemist's quintessence, the 5th, purest element. 5 is packed with meaning.
On to 6, the hexad. Form of form, related to the soul, harmony, Venus again.
6 is seen as relating to creation and structure, the form of form. Its connection to harmony and beauty links it to Venus, like 3. Also called Zagia, joining, nuptialia, marriage, links to fate, lechesis. The Muse, Thalia, benevolence, peace, health, truth. Akmon, anvil, maybe relating to creation.
And it's the first perfect number, right? Equal to the sum of its parts.
Exactly. 1 plus 2 plus 3 equals 6. This perfection of parts reinforces its connection to harmony and completeness. It's also the product of the first odd 3 and first even 2 numbers, symbolizing union, hence marriage, called all-sufficient, panarchia.
What's this Pythagorean regeneration period of 216 years?
216 is 6 cubed, 6 by 6 by 6. The Pythagoreans believed in cycles of cosmic renewal, and 216 years was seen as one such significant period. Also, mathematically, multiplying 6 by itself repeatedly always results in a number ending in 6.
And connections to astronomy, 600 years.
The Naros, a period of 600 years, mentioned in relation to Chaldean and Sibylline prophecies. Westcott links it to Virgil's 4th eclogue, sometimes seen as predicting a messianic age, and notes Jesus appeared around the 9th Naros. There's also the Egyptian Sothic cycle of 1461 years.
And the number 60 itself seems important.
Hugely important, especially in Babylonian systems. Division of the globe into degrees, the hour into minutes and seconds, time periods in 60s. The Babylonian Great Period was 3600, 60 by 60.
Even botany. Lilies with 6 petals.
Yes, botanical structures often show divisions based on 3 and 6. Berosus and Bailey mention Chaldean and Brahmin time cycles based on 60, 600, 3600.
And the hexagram symbol, double triangle, shield of David.
Right. The hexapla, or hexalpha, a powerful symbol of the union of opposites divine and human, macrocosm and microcosm, seen in Judaism, in the Royal Archdegree of Masonry, even in old Christian churches.
Solomon's 6 names, 6 kinds of fire, Moses' table dimensions.
Westcott lists these too. Also, 6 holy people supposedly untouched by the angel of death, 6 names for the lion in the book of Job. 6 seems deeply embedded in structure and union.
Okay, now for 7, the heptad, vehicle of life, full of mystery.
7 is arguably one of the most mystical numbers across cultures. Vehicle of life suggests its connection to cycles in existence. Westcott links the 4 cardinal virtues plus 3 theological ones, or interval boundaries, to make 7.
Agilia, herds of stars. Phalkikos, guardian, aegis, telepros, judgment.
These are Pythagorean terms for 7, associating it with celestial guidance, 7 traditional planets ruling the herds of stars. Protection, aegis, perfection or completion, telespros, and divine order or judgment.
The Pythagoreans also looked at birth viability, 7 or 9 months.
Yes, they considered births in the 7th and 9th months of leasable, attributing special properties to these numbers in development.
And the idea of life divided into 7-year periods.
A very common ancient concept attributed to Solon and Hippocrates. First 7 years, teeth develop. Second 7, reproductive capacity. Third, beard grows. Fourth, peak strength. Fifth, optimal time for marriage. Sixth, peak intelligence. Seventh, reason matures, and so on, marking stages up to old age and death.
Duncan's stages are listed too, linking planets to these life phases.
Right. Moon for infancy, Mercury for childhood, Venus for youth, Sun for manhood, Mars for middle age, Jupiter for wisdom, Saturn for old age. It's a way of mapping cosmic cycles onto human life.
7 bodily evacuations. 7th month viability, menstruation linked to the moon, 4 by 7 days.
All examples Westcott uses to show 7's connection to biological rhythms and cycles. The lyre with 7 strings, 7 vowels, even intestine length, supposedly being 28 feet, 4 by 7.
Associated with the voice sound, Clio, Muse, Osiris, Nemesis, Fate, Mars. Quite a range.
7's associations are vast. Voice sound relates to the 7 vowels notes. Clio, perhaps history unfolding in cycles. Osiris, possibly linked to lunar cycles or his dismemberment. Nemesis fate ties into destiny and cycles. Mars, sometimes linked to 7, perhaps through planetary schemes or its fiery nature. Plato's world soul, anima mundana, was supposedly formed from ratios involving 7.
7 wise men of Greece, golden candlestick, 7 years for repentance.
Classic examples. The menorah with its 7 branches is iconic. 7 years often signifies a complete period for purification or transformation.
And the book of Revelation is just full of 7s.
Absolutely. 7 churches, 7 angels, 7 trumpets, 7 candlesticks, 7 seals, 7 kings, 7,000 slain, 7 vials of wrath. It structures the entire vision.
7 for a perfect Masonic lodge. Barrett's 7 categories of things.
Yes, 7 members often considered ideal for a lodge. Barrett, in the Magus, listed things in 7s, birds, metals, etc., often linked to the 7 planets. 7 apertures of the skull, linked to the planets. 7 degrees in some Eastern orders.
The planetary ladder with vowel symbols. Oracle of Claros on IAO.
The ladder represents ascent through planetary spheres, each associated with a vowel sound. The oracle declaring IAO, often linked to Yahweh or Dionysus, as the supreme god, ruling the 7 spheres, first and last sun. Duncan also lists minerals and animals for the 7 planets.
7 modes of perception. 7 states of matter. Earth as the 7th.
Theosophical concepts here. Perception beyond the physical 5. Matter states from dense to subtle. Earth often placed 7th in certain cosmic hierarchies, or on the 4th of 7 planes. 7 kings of Edom representing primordial worlds. 7 as the key to creation narratives in many religions.
7 planes of being subjected to 7 principles of man, try to tread.
More theosophical structures. 7 planes, 3 higher, 4 lower. Man composed of 7 bodies or principles, higher spiritual triad, lower quaternary personality.
7 stars in Taurus, Pleiades. 7 tattvas, Sanskrit names for planets.
Pleiades, often called the 7 sisters, though usually only 6 are easily visible. 7 esoteric tattvas, subtle elements, 5 known, 2 hidden. Sanskrit planetary names, plus Rahu and Ketu, lunar nodes. Septemtriones, north, from the 7 stars of Ursa Major, Big Dipper.
Talmudic 7s. Nights without dreaming, classes of angels, names for hell, things formed before the world.
Yes, Westcott draws heavily on Talmudic lore. 7 things hidden from man. 7 heavens, often distinct from the 7 planetary heavens. 7 prophets, besides those specifically for Israel. A 7-generation chain from Adam to Elijah. 7 years of pestilence won't change fate. Ram making 7 sounds after death, soul hovering over the corpse for 7 days, a belief shared in Theosophy. Rabbi Nathan's 7 qualities for judgment, 7 Hebrew epithets for earth, the planet name without a continent, Ihu of Jupiter.
Zoroastrianism, Romai days of the week.
7 Emshah archangels in Zoroastrianism, Rome built on 7 hills, Urbs Septicalis, and of course the 7 days of the week, each sacred to different deities in various cultures.
And specific links to Blavatsky and the Theosophical Society.
Yes, Westcott notes various connections, dates, publications, structures within the society where the number 7 seems significant.
Okay, let's move to 8, the Ogdoad. First cube, 2 by 2 by 2, only even number in the decade.
Right. 8 as the first cube gives it solidity, dimensionality. The Greek proverb, all things are 8, suggests a sense of completeness or perhaps cyclic return.
Universal harmony, musical ratios. How does that connect?
The octave in music is based on a 2.1 ratio, and intervals within the scale relate to 8. The ratio 9.8 represents a whole tone, associated with Cadmea, harmony, wife of Cadmus, perhaps representing the sublunary world's order.
Mother Rhea, Cybele, Earth goddesses.
Yes, as the first cube, 8 was linked to the earth, stability, the great mother archetype, Rhea, Siblid, Dindymene.
8 saved from the flood.
In the Babylonian flood myth of Sisuthris, similar to Noah, 8 people were saved. This Ogdoad motif appears elsewhere, like with the 8 Kabiri deities, 8 Beatitudes in Christianity, 8 moons known for Saturn at the time.
Masonic orders related to Noah's Ogdoad. Justice.
Yes, some Masonic degrees reference the 8 saved in the Ark. 8, being evenly even, divisible into equal parts, was also seen as a type of justice. John Hayden listed 8 events for the damned and 8 rewards for the blessed.
Sacred to Dionysus. Born 8th month.
Yes, associated with Dionysus Bacchus. Some legends say he was born prematurely in the 8th month. Naxos was dedicated to him. 8th month births were considered viable.
Jewish circumcision on the 8th day. Chanukah's 8-day scandals.
Key examples. The 8th day signifies entry into the covenant. Chanukah commemorates the miracle of oil lasting 8 days. Talmud mentions ancient conjuring using 8 items. 8 prophets descended from Rahab. Joshua supposedly wrote the last 8 verses of Deuteronomy.
8 sects of Pharisees, 8 stringed harps.
Rabbi Nathan listed 8, though the Talmuds usually say 7. Prophecy mentions 8 stringed harps appearing before the Messiah, 8 as the day of regeneration following the 7 of initial creation.
Noah himself is the 8th, 8 and 88 for Jesus.
Noah is sometimes seen as the 8th in descent in certain genealogies. His name, Envishi, numerically equals 64, 8 by 8, and 888 is a significant number in Greek Gematria for Isus, Jesus, sometimes interpreted as a resurrection and the life, contrasting with 666. Ancient Chinese had 8 musical sounds, Paiyin.
Moving fast now. 9, the Ennead, imperfect triad of triads.
9 is 3 by 3, so a triad of triads, but being one short of 10, it's seen as incomplete or nearing completion.
John Hayden again. Invisibility attracting women.
Hayden had some colorful ideas. More conventionally, the 9th hour was when Jesus died. 9th day, the angel appeared to Mary. 9 orders of angels in Christian tradition. 9 muses of Greece.
9 sea-being gods, no Vansiles.
Etruscan gods.
Yes, groups of 9 deities appear in Roman and Etruscan lore. Macaulay's poem Horatius mentions the 9 gods. Eastern traditions often give presents in sets of 9. Barrett listed 9 precious stones, 9 types of devils, linked to the 9 angelic choirs.
Roman nundinals, market days. Purification, nones, novenalia, feast for dead. Novendial fast. Roman customs often used 9-day cycles. The market every 9th day, actually 8th inclusively. Purification rituals. The nones were the 9th day before the Ides. Feasts and fasts linked to the number 9.
Masonic, 9 elected knights, 9 roses, lights, knocks.
Specific symbolism within that Masonic degree. Islam has the 99 beautiful names of God. Jewish teachings mention God descending 9 times to earth, with the 10th being the Messiah's arrival.
Ancient fear of 9, change, fragility.
Yes, perhaps because it heralded the end of a cycle before 10, it was associated with change, fragility, sometimes seen as unlucky, Earth under evil influences, planetary links sometimes to Mars or Vulcan.
10, the decade, all complete, Pantalea, the grand summit.
10 was hugely revered, especially by Pythagoreans. It represented completion, perfection, deity, heaven, eternity, sun. Septical, decamite to receive, hence heaven decade, containing all numbers, because after 10 you just repeat the cycle with the monad, 10 plus 1.
Like deity center with vast circumference, sum of 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4.
Yes, symbolic interpretations. The Tetracty summing to 10 was crucial, called eternity because it contains all numbers within it. Cosmos, universe, fountain of eternal nature. pairs summing to 10, 1 plus 9, 2 plus 8, etc.
And obviously our decimal system, 10 fingers.
The practical basis, 10 acknowledged senses, 5 physical plus maybe 2 more evolving, Westcott suggests. 10 Sephiroth and Qabalah, the divine emanations arranged in triads and pillars.
Pillars of severity, mercy, benignity, linked to planets, angels, tarot.
Exactly. A whole complex system mapped onto the decade. Westcott mentions, but doesn't detail, the tarot links, 10 grades in the Rosicrucian Society. Blavatsky apparently suggested an earlier 10-sign zodiac, though Westcott notes it's unverified.
Hebrew Talmudic tens, men for synagogue, curses on Eve's creations at twilight.
Lots of 10s. 10 for a minion, legal prayer group. 10 curses. 10 supernatural facts in the temple. Divorce after 10 childless years. 10 men at funerals, weddings. 10 cups at a funeral party. 10 names for gold linked to the Saphira Gabura. Hindu Puranas. 10 avatars of Vishnu.
Okay, 11. Evil reputation, sin, imperfection.
Yes, stark contrast to 10. 11 breaks the perfection. Seen as transgression, imbalance. Linked to the 11, a verse Sephiroth, Cliffoth, in Qabalah, forces of destruction were imbalance.
The Tarot Tower card shows Sephiroth falling.
Sometimes interpreted that way, showing the disruption. Hayden links it to devils. Jewish lore connects it to Lilith, Adam's defiant first wife. Called number of sins or penitent exceeding the 10 commandments, but less than the grace or perfection of 12.
The 11th hour worker parable?
Right, receiving the same pay despite coming late, maybe suggesting grace beyond strict rules. Rabbi Jochanan said 11 spices were needed for the holy incense, 1 being foul-smelling but necessary. 11 disciples remained after Judas. Hebrew idiom 1 in 10 might relate.
And finally 12. Perfect, notable. Zodiac signs again.
12 is another number of cosmic order and completeness, linked strongly to the 12 zodiac signs partitioning the heavens and the year.
12 sons of Jacob, tribes of Israel, 12 judges, 12 Caesars, 12 knights of the Round Table.
Foundational groups of 12 across history and myth. Scandinavia's Odin had 12 names. Qabalah has 12 permutations of the Tetragrammaton, YHWH. 12 stones on the high priest's breastplate, mirroring the 12 foundations of the New Jerusalem in Revelation.
12 Hebrew months. Rosicrucian attributions of tribes to zodiac signs.
Yes, various systems map the 12 tribes onto the zodiac. 12 apostles of Jesus. Bede even proposed renaming the signs after the apostles. 12 court cards and standard playing cards, plus 4 knights, cavaliers, and tarot.
12 labors of Hercules as the sun's journey. Janus with 12 altars.
Common interpretations. Hercules labors mirroring the sun's passage through the 12 signs. Janus, god of beginnings and endings, presiding over the 12 months. John Hayden even classified numbers broadly as prosperous, good, indifferent, or bad, with 12 clearly in the good category.
Okay, we've covered 112. Westcott then goes into higher numbers. We can't detail them all, but maybe pick out a few interesting ones. 13.
13. Gets a bad rap now, but Westcott notes Hebrew words for love, ab, ahiba, and unity, akad, akdad, numerically equal 13. So not unlucky in ancient Hebrew lore. That seems linked to Judas at the Last Supper. 13 cards per suit in playing decks, sometimes used for lunar month divination. Gnostic gems with a 13-letter divine name. 13 fasts prescribed by Rabbi Eliezer. 13 collecting horns, tables, bows in the temple.
14.
Linked to Osiris's dismemberment. 14 parts. Type of Christ, sacrificed, 14th day of Nisan. Used as an amulet number. 14 books in the Greek Apocrypha. 14 meals eaten in the Sukkah during tabernacles. Paschal lamb slain on Nisan 14th. Jesus' genealogy in Matthew presented in 3 sets of 14 generations. Fevers thought to crisis on the 14th day. Moon waxes 14 days, wanes 14 days, roughly.
15.
Gnostics had pairs of eons, sometimes totaling 15. Gematria of Had, 8th Sapphira, is 15. 15 steps ascent in the temple, linked to the 15 songs of degrees. Number of Jah, a name for God. Jewish recreation day on Ab 15th. Deluge waters rose 15 cubits above mountains. Age 15 for starting Gemara study. Seen as auspicious. Felicity. It's a square number, 4 by 4. 16 court cards in tarot, including knights.
17.
Osiris killed on the 17th day of the month. Egyptians and Pythagoreans apparently disliked it. Antiphraxis,
18.
seen as protection against thieves. Isaiah has 18 denunciations. Age 18 for girls forming nuptial colonies. Temple candlestick height. 18 hands breadths. The Shimoni Esra, the 18 blessings, now 19 in Jewish liturgy. 18 high priests served in the first temple.
19.
Big one for cycles. The Metonic cycle is 19 years, after which the lunar phases roughly realign with the solar year. The Calippic period adjusted this slightly. Hayden claimed it facilitated births and menses,
20.
minimum age for certain responsibilities or potential divine curses if unmarried, childbearing age for women ideally before 20, up to 60, dying after 20 days of diarrhea meant purity. Sanskrit word for 20 relates to nails, fingers and toes.
42.
Very significant. Number of letters in the Hebrew alphabet, which are also numerals. Dreams might be deferred 22 years. Hermes Trismegistus had 22 axioms, sometimes seen as evil, linked to Cain numerically. 24 unclean birds listed, traditionally 24 ribs in men-women, though scientifically it's 12 pairs, represents the elders around the throne in Revelation.
He lists so many more. 40 days, years everywhere in the Bible. 72 angels, translators of Septuagint. 284 for Theos, God. 318 for Helios. 666 again. 888 for Jesus Christ. 1461 for the Sothic cycle. 3 to 102 BC for Kali Yuga start.
It's an incredible compilation showing how numbers were woven into history, religion, mysticism, astronomy. Pi even makes an appearance. He really demonstrates the breadth of numerical symbolism.
And he ends with apocalyptic numbers from Revelation specifically.
Yes, pulling together the sevens, thunders, plagues, vials, spirits, horns, eyes on lamb, heads on beasts, crowns, the 12s, tribes, apostles, gates, foundations, angels, stars, the 24 elders, highlighting that dense symbolic numerical language.
Wow, okay. After all that, it's undeniable. Numbers aren't just for math class.
Not even close. They've been saturated with mystical, historical, philosophical meaning across pretty much every culture we know of. Westcott's book really hammers that home.
What really stands out, I think, is just that deep human drive to find patterns, find meaning, find order, and using numbers as a core language to express it all.
Exactly. And how certain numbers seem to resonate across different traditions, picking up related symbolism. It's fascinating.
What was the most surprising connection for you going through this?
Maybe the sheer pervasiveness of 7. We kind of know it's important days of the week, etc. But seeing it laid out across life cycles, planets, virtues, botany, religious texts from multiple traditions, it really emphasizes how fundamental that number felt to ancient observers of the world. It seems less arbitrary when you see the scope.
Yeah, that's a good point. The sheer volume of 7s is staggering. It does make you wonder.
Definitely.
So maybe a final thought for everyone listening. After hearing all this, do you look at numbers differently now? You know, could there be more to these basic building blocks than just calculation? Maybe next time a number keeps showing up in your life, or you see a date with a funny pattern. Just pause for a second. Could there be echoes of these old symbolic meanings still floating around? Unseen dimensions.
It's too provocative thought. Maybe there's a kind of hidden poetry in the numbers around us, if we look.
Well, that brings us to the end of this deep dive. It was a lot, but really fascinating.
It certainly was.
If you, listening, have sources you want us to tackle, something packed with hidden meanings or surprising connections, please send them our way. We love doing these deep dives.